Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. I thought I'd do a little video different than I've usually done on this channel. On this channel, I mostly talk about movies that I've watched a lot of times before and are some of my favorite movies, just mostly because I'm more familiar with those movies. But just a few minutes ago, I finished watching Jojo Rabbit. And it struck me as a really unique, interesting, and kind of controversial movie. And I just thought I'd share my opinion and my review of the movie. Jojo Rabbit is directed by Taiki Waititi, and the only reason why I mention him is mainly because he himself acts as the main character's comical form of Hitler in the movie, and not because he's the director. Because I've only watched Thor Ragnarok, which is also directed by him, but I'm not really familiar with the director that much. But I thought the performance that he did in the movie was really funny, really satirical, and really put the message in a really simplified way, but struck with me throughout the movie. Most of the criticisms that relate to the movie come from the fact that some critics say that this movie treats the subject matter too lightly and gives it too much of a funny tone. While I understand those criticisms completely because of the topic being really sensitive in general, I would say I really enjoyed the movie. It was a really unique movie because it had moments that had me laughing really hard at the satire, and there were moments where I felt really sad and really emotional for the events that happen and in general the tone that the movie creates and the message that it gives you. I personally was really affected by all the satire against war, against hatred, against discrimination that the movie really put forward to the audience. And I thought it was a very brave way of telling the story of how Nazism affected children and in general German citizens who had no idea of the true extent of Nazism. And why I think all the extreme satire that's done in this movie is justified is because it's told from the point of view of Jojo. It's not told as a realistic depiction of how Nazism affected German citizens and especially German children from an objective point of view. It's mainly told from Jojo's point of view, which is going to be very simplified because of all the misinformation and propaganda that was put on German children to really embody all the Nazi ideologies that Hitler really put forward. That controversy was mainly what I wanted to talk about in this video because it's affected a lot of people, and mostly from what I've read, some people are really not liking how the satire is somewhat normalizing the Nazis' behavior in some way. And while that is true, I feel like if the audience is informed enough of what the true extent of Nazism was, then they can keep that in mind while watching the movie as Jojo's story. Because this movie is really about Jojo's transformation. Now, apart from that, to get into critically analyzing the movie, I felt most of the characters were pretty well developed, especially Jojo's character and his imaginary persona of Hitler. Their changing relationship really reflected how Jojo's worldview really evolved from hatred to love, from really being misinformed about Jews and how one race is superior to being sympathetic towards everyone. However, one character that I didn't really like and how he was developed is Sam Rockwell's character. He seemed like a mix between not really being into Nazism, but then fighting for the Nazis at the end scenes, especially when they're losing. His character didn't really serve a large role, I believe, in the movie, especially because he wasn't really transformative in Jojo's world until the end, when he kind of justified his actions by sacrificing himself to save Jojo from the incoming army soldiers. So other than Sam Rockwell's character, I really liked all the story points, all the plot points, all the messages that the movie gave off, because it's really brave for the makers of this film to approach this sensitive topic and make such an exaggerated story, such a satire that gives a message of anti-Nazism, anti-hate in a really satirical way. So considering how hard it probably was for the filmmakers to pull off such a story in such a satirical way that hadn't been done before that much, I give this movie probably an 8.5 out of 10. Now, the points that I took off are probably because one criticism that I had about the movie was in the way that the tone sometimes shifted suddenly from really dramatic and serious to really funny, satirical, and over the top, and back again and back and forth between the two emotions, that sometimes me in the audience felt little manipulated, because the really deep tragic moments didn't really stay in my heart that much, because sometimes the dark comedy scenes took over that emotion that I just played a few seconds ago. So other than that, enjoy this movie, a really unique take on a really sensitive topic, and I loved almost all performances, maybe except Sam Rockwell, but loved all the characters, the performances, how the satire was pulled off, and how convincing the story was in showing us the transformation of one little boy from hatred to love. Thank you for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed this movie review. Let me know in the comments if you prefer movie reviews about latest movies or old classics. Please leave in the comments any suggestions that you have, any movies that you think I should talk about. Hope you subscribe to my channel for more reviews and for more discussions about movies, and I hope I see you in the next video.
Du könntest schwimmen wie Delfine. Delfine ist schön. Niemand gibt uns eine Chance, doch können wir sie dann für immer und immer. Und wir sind dann Helden für einen Tag.